Welcome to a special edition of Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you with some breaking news from the Seattle Seahawks as they will be without Drew Lock for Thursday's second preseason game of the NFL season as he has tested positive for COVID-19. The Seahawks will also be without Kenneth Walker III, and they are hopeful that he'll be back for the opener, week one against the Denver Broncos. He's dealing with a hernia issue. So with that, let's start out with the Drew Lock front of losing him to COVID-19. Look, COVID-19, the pandemic, still going on. This is something that we've seen even at this point. Teams are still having to deal with COVID to some extent. Kirk Cousins, just a few days ago, missed the Vikings game against the Las Vegas Raiders due to COVID-19. And in Drew Lock's case, what's really interesting is that he is in the midst of this quarterback competition, right? Just today, he received first-team reps for the very first time in practice. Throughout this entire time, we've seen Geno Smith get the first-team reps. And if you go back to what Drew Lock did in the preseason game against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Saturday night, he looked pretty good for the most part, going 11 of 15, 102 yards and 2 touchdowns, but had that fumble towards the end of the game. And that was the play that I think got the most attention for the night. But nonetheless, it wasn't even necessarily his fault. He took blame for it, but kind of missed blocking assignments caused that situation to occur for the most part. But nonetheless, Drew Lock was making progress at competing for the starting quarterback job. You go back to the scrimmage a couple weeks ago, and Drew Lock outplayed Geno Smith. Both quarterbacks played fairly well, but it was Drew Lock who played much better. That was the better quarterback that day. And then on Saturday night, Lock had more touchdowns and a better completion percentage than Geno Smith did. So as we were just starting to see Drew Lock make significant progress in this quarterback battle, this is a step back. And another thing to look at, too, is in this quarterback competition, you're looking at a situation where both quarterbacks need every opportunity they can get, right? Here they are in the preseason, and of this quarterback competition, nothing matters more than the in-game experience. That's going to be your most valuable experience. You can't model that in practice like you can in the end game. So for Drew Lock not to be there for this second preseason game, that could set him back quite a bit. A big opportunity for Geno Smith. And then not to mention Jacob Eason either. Jacob Eason didn't play at all in that first preseason game. And so now maybe we see Jacob Eason. So something to keep in mind there for Drew Lock as he was just getting first-team reps in practice. Seemed like a step in the right direction. And now this situation where he ends up getting COVID-19. Unfortunate for Drew Lock there. So question for you guys. I want you to weigh in the comments section. Drew Lock, will he come back and emerge victorious and win this quarterback competition? Will Drew Lock start for the Seattle Seahawks week one against Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos? Let me know in the comments section. Chime in if you think that Drew Lock will come back and win this starting quarterback job. If you think he will, type Y for yes. If not, type N for no in the comments section. This is why you subscribe, folks. Even in this breaking news type situation, we find a way to bring you content and tell you exactly what's going on with your team, the Seattle Seahawks. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/Seahawks TV for the latest Seattle Seahawks breaking news, rumors, trades. We'll have our watch parties, including this week for the game against the Chicago Bears, doing that all season long. And we'll also have our live shows, which will typically take place on Wednesdays at 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific time here on Seahawks Today. So that's the latest with Drew Lock there, as he will not be playing in this week one matchup, and we will see a big opportunity for Geno Smith to stand out without Lock there. Meanwhile, on Kenneth Walker III, let's touch on that, the Kenneth Walker III situation. Pete Carroll said Walker didn't practice on Tuesday due to a hernia issue. And we will see kind of what this means for Kenneth Walker III. Remember, the Seahawks already dealing with a shortage at the running back position, as we've seen Rashaad Penny dealt with the injury on his front last week that kept him out of the preseason game on Saturday. Now, fortunately for the Seahawks, the backup running backs have played fairly well. I mean, you saw what DJ Dallas did. Maybe he was even the best player on Saturday night. Travis Homer was very good as well, but a team that already moved on from Chris Carson, who retired this past offseason. Now you wonder, I mean, it's not looking great. You're already running backs going down, and we haven't even gotten to the start of the season yet. So not ideal there, but they hope that Kenneth Walker's ready to go, that he's back for week one, and hopefully it's not a lingering issue for Rashaad Penny either. But here we are, folks. The Seahawks dealing with some of their key contributors, guys that they'll be counting on in 2022. Drew Lock gets COVID. Then we hear, Kenneth Walker and Rashaad Penny. I mean, these things are starting to pile up. It's unfortunate. Every team faces adversity in the National Football League. That's the nature of the beast. But, I mean, it seems like already this Seahawks team, who is in rebuilding mode, is already seeing these challenges presented in front of them for 2022. So hopefully Kenneth Walker can get back pretty fast, but nonetheless, not great news for the Seahawks running back there. So at the running back position with Kenneth Walker, with his uncertainty, and then Rashaad Penny, who's going to start for the Seahawks week one? Will we see Kenneth Walker back? Will Rashaad Penny be back? I mean, what does that running back situation look like? Weigh in the comment section to let me know who the starting running back will be for the Seahawks, whether it will be Kenneth Walker III, whether it will be Rashaad Penny. If it's somebody else, let me know who else that could be for Seattle for that week one starting running back position. I can tell you this, though, I feel better for the Seahawks case because of what we saw on Saturday night with DJ Dallas and Travis Homer. Those guys showed they're capable. If DJ Dallas is your number 3 running back, I think you're in pretty good shape, personally. So, nonetheless, pretty interesting there to see how that running back situation shapes up. But not great on the injury front for Seattle. Drew Lock, hopefully this COVID situation doesn't take too long, that he's okay, and that he can get back on the football field and get those first-team reps again. And here's the thing. On the Drew Lock thing, I'll kind of wrap up on this, is that, Drew Lock was already going toe-to-toe with Geno Smith in a quarterback competition that wasn't even really fair necessarily, right? I mean, Geno Smith getting a distinct advantage getting first-team reps as opposed to Drew Lock that was getting second-team reps, and we were supposed to believe this is a competition. Now it was finally starting to get fair, and here's another advantage for Geno Smith. If Geno Smith doesn't win this quarterback battle, that's on him. Everything has been handed to Geno Smith to get this job, and just everything headed his direction with the advantages that he's been given. And granted, he's the more veteran quarterback. He knows this system. He played under it last year under Shane Waldron, the offensive coordinator there in Seattle. So I get those things there. But if Geno Smith doesn't earn this job, that's on him. And respect to Drew Lock if he can get this done under all these circumstances that he's been presented. But it'll be fascinating. We'll see. Who will start week one? Will it be Drew Lock? Will it be Geno Smith? Remains to be seen. But that's the latest with your Seattle Seahawks, as the injury front not great with Drew Lock and with Kenneth Walker III out, it would seem, for this preseason game coming up on Wednesday night. We'll have a live watch party. You can join us right here on the channel. We'll be reacting to the game in real time as it's happening. Going to be a lot of fun. Myself, producer Chugs will be here. It's guaranteed to be a good time. Subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications so you can watch the game with us and see all the latest happenings. We're going to be entertaining. I mean, you don't need to watch the television broadcast. You just need to be with us on Thursday night for that. We'll get started 8 o'clock Eastern time, so we'll do a little pregame coverage beginning about 7:45. That's 4:45 for you all on the West Coast as well. And we'll go throughout the game and then do post-game coverage as well with reaction there. So stick around and join us for our live Seahawks watch party right here on Seahawks Today. Thanks for joining us here on a special edition of Seahawks Today and mobile studio version of the show. Give me a follow on Twitter at Tyler Jones Live, and we'll see you back in the normal studio for Seahawks Today tomorrow. Thanks for joining us.